sighs. What if I told you that the mucus constantly building up in your throat isn't just a minor annoyance, but could actually be your body sending you a serious warning signal that millions of Americans over 60 are completely ignoring every single day? That's right. If you're someone who wakes up every morning feeling like you need to clear your throat, or you're constantly coughing throughout the day trying to get rid of that thick, stubborn phlegm that just won't go away, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not imagining it. This is one of the most common complaints among seniors in the United States, and yet so many people are either brushing it off or treating it the wrong way. Today, we're going to change that. In this video, we are going to walk through every single major cause of constant mucus and phlegm buildup in your throat, and then we're going to talk about what you can actually do about it, including a few techniques that most people have never even heard of. So make sure you watch all the way to the end because some of the most important information is saved for later in the video. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button right now and turn on the bell notification so you never miss another health tip made just for you. And if you enjoy this video, go ahead and type 1 in the comments below. If you don't find it helpful, type 0 so I know how I can make better content for you. Your feedback truly means the world to me. Now, before we get into the details, I just want to make one thing very clear. We are not doctors, and this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please always speak with your own doctor for medical advice and treatment that is specific to your situation. With that important disclaimer out of the way, let's get into it. So what exactly is mucus and why does your body make it? Mucus is a naturally occurring substance in your body, and believe it or not, it actually plays a very important role. It provides lubrication, filtration, and protection for your lungs and your entire respiratory system. Every single time you take a breath in, pollutants like dust, allergens, and even viruses get trapped in the mucus that lines your airways. Think of it almost like a sticky net. It catches all of that debris before it ever has a chance to reach your lungs. So in many ways, mucus is actually your friend. The problem, however, is that sometimes the body starts producing way too much of it, and when that happens, it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. It makes you want to constantly cough, constantly clear your throat, and that nagging feeling just never seems to go away. For seniors especially, this can become an everyday struggle, and it can seriously impact your quality of life if it's left unrest. So let's talk about exactly why this happens. Starting with the most common cause number 1, reflux, and why it hits seniors harder than anyone else. The number 1 most common cause of that constant mucus and phlegm feeling in your throat is something called reflux. If you want to use the medical term for it, it's called laryngopharyngeal reflux, but most people just call it LPR or silent reflux. This is different from the heartburn that most people are familiar with, and that's exactly why so many seniors miss it entirely. Here's what happens. Normally, stomach acid is supposed to move downward and stay in your stomach. But with reflux, that acid moves upward instead, traveling all the way up into your throat and accumulating there. And here's the tricky part. The contents that travel back up can be either acidic or non-acidic. So even if you're not feeling that classic burning sensation in your chest, you can still have reflux affecting your throat. As that fluid sits in the back of your throat, it causes that persistent nagging sensation that makes you feel like you constantly need to clear your throat. Many seniors describe it as feeling like there's something stuck back there that they just can't get rid of. And that's exactly what reflux feels like. If this sounds familiar to you, it is very worth mentioning to your doctor at your next visit. Because number 2, post-nasal drainage. The second very common cause is something called post-nasal drainage. Now the name really does say it all. This is literally when drainage from your nose travels downward and accumulates in the back of your throat. Now the reason this happens can come from one of 2 places, allergies or your sinuses. And the reason it's important to figure out which one is causing it is because the treatment is actually different depending on the source. If it's allergies driving the drainage, you'll want to address it from that angle. If it's a sinus issue, the approach will be a little different. This is why it's so important to have a proper conversation with your doctor rather than just guessing on your own. For seniors, post-nasal drainage is especially common because as we age, the body's ability to regulate mucus production can change. Things that never used to bother you, like certain plants, certain weather changes, or even dry indoor air, can start triggering drainage that ends up pooling in the back of your throat. Because number 3, food allergies. Now, here's one that surprises a lot of people, especially seniors who have been eating the same foods their whole lives. Food allergies or even food sensitivities can absolutely cause that mucus and phlegm feeling in your throat. That's right, it is entirely possible for that persistent nagging sensation you feel in the back of your throat to be directly connected to something you're eating on a regular basis. Some of the most common culprits include dairy products, wheat, gluten, and in some cases, even eggs. These are foods that many of us eat every single day without thinking twice about it. But for some people, the body reacts to them by producing excess mucus. The tricky part is that food allergies and sensitivities aren't always obvious. You're not necessarily going to break out in hives or have a dramatic reaction. Sometimes the only sign is exactly what you're experiencing, that constant buildup of phlegm in the throat. In order to know for certain which foods might be triggering your symptoms, you would need to undergo proper testing. Your doctor can help guide you through that process and help you figure out what changes to make to your diet. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep going with point number 4, because number 4, infections. This one is probably the most familiar to most people. That feeling of needing to constantly clear your throat is also a very well-known side effect that comes along with a virus or infection, including something as common as the regular cold. When your body is fighting off an infection, it ramps up mucus production as part of its defense mechanism that causes contents to build up in the throat, which results in that uncomfortable, congested feeling that most of us know all too well. Now, for younger people, this tends to go away fairly quickly once the infection clears, but for seniors, the immune system can take a little longer to recover, which means the mucus and phlegm can linger for a longer period of time, even after the main infection has passed. If you notice that your mucus symptoms seem to have started around the same time as a cold, a sinus infection, or any other type of illness, there's a good chance the infection is either still active or your body is still in the recovery phase. Because number 5, underlying respiratory conditions. Finally, and this is a very important one for the senior community in particular, constant mucus and phlegm in the throat can also be caused by certain respiratory conditions and diseases. Conditions such as asthma, COPD, chronic bronchitis, pneumonia, and cystic fibrosis can all cause the feeling of constant mucus buildup in your throat and airways. For seniors, COPD and chronic bronchitis are especially relevant as these are conditions that tend to develop or worsen with age, particularly in people who have a history of smoking. If you have been diagnosed with any of these conditions and you are experiencing persistent mucus, it is absolutely critical that you are working closely with your doctor to manage it properly. Untreated mucus buildup in someone with a respiratory condition can lead to much more serious complications over time. Now let's talk about what you can actually do about it. Now that we've covered the major causes, let's get into the practical side of things, because knowing the cause is only half the battle. You also need to know what to do about it. First and foremost, take the right medications. The most effective way to get rid of mucus and phlegm is to take medications that are prescribed directly by your doctor, especially if you have an underlying respiratory condition that is contributing to the problem. Your doctor knows your individual situation, your health history, and the other medications you may already be taking. So their guidance is truly irreplaceable when it comes to treatment. That said, if you're looking for some over-the-counter options for relief, there are a few worth knowing about. Medications called can help loosen up mucus and phlegm buildup, making it much easier to cough up or blow out through your nose. Certain types of decongestants may also provide some short-term relief, but be careful here because they are generally not recommended for continuous long-term use, and in some cases they can actually make it more difficult to get rid of mucus over time rather than easier. As always, check with your doctor before starting any new medication, even over-the-counter ones. This is especially important for seniors because medications can interact with each other in ways that aren't always obvious. Drink plenty of fluids. This one might sound overly simple, but please don't underestimate it. You probably grew up hearing your parents tell you to drink plenty of water every time you were sick or had a cold. It might sound like a cliche at this point, but they were 100% right, and the science backs it up. Staying well hydrated genuinely helps improve the functionality of pretty much every major system in your body, and it plays a direct role in managing mucus. Here's why. Staying hydrated helps to thin out mucus and phlegm. When you're dehydrated, your secretions thicken up, which makes them much more difficult to clear out. For seniors especially, it can be easy to forget to drink enough water throughout the day, but making this a daily habit can make a real noticeable difference in how you feel. Gargle warm salt water. This is an old-fashioned home remedy that has actually stood the test of time for a very good reason. It works. Gargling warm salt water is soothing. It feels nice, and it genuinely can help get rid of mucus that has accumulated in the back of your throat. It's safe, it's inexpensive, and it's something you can do multiple times a day if needed. Take a hot bath or shower. Another wonderfully simple method that many people overlook is taking a hot bath or shower. The main benefit here isn't the warm water itself, it's the steam. When you take a hot shower or bath, the steam that rises up acts as a natural way to help break up and loosen mucus and phlegm in your airways. All you have to do is gently breathe in and out as the warm aerosol particles enter your airways and lungs. The humidity from the steam works to loosen up the mucus so that it can be removed much more easily. And as a bonus, it also helps reduce sinus pressure, relieve chest congestion, and ease many of those other nagging symptoms that often come along with excessive mucus. For seniors with joint pain or other physical limitations, even simply sitting in a steamy bathroom for a few minutes can provide meaningful relief. Keep your allergies under control. This is a big one that too many people neglect. Seasonal allergies don't just cause a runny nose, itchy throat, and watery eyes. They can also cause excessive amounts of mucus and phlegm to build up in your throat. So, keeping your allergies properly managed is absolutely essential. Make sure you're using your prescription or over-the-counter allergy medications consistently, not just when symptoms feel unbearable, because if you let your allergies go unchecked, this can lead to increased amounts of secretions, which is obviously the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. Avoid irritants in your environment. Certain things in your everyday environment can trigger your body to produce excessive amounts of mucus, and for many seniors, this is something that gets overlooked entirely. Things like air pollution, certain household chemicals, cleaning products, and even certain fragrances, perfumes, scented candles, air fresheners can all set off a mucus response in sensitive individuals. If you notice that your symptoms seem to get worse in certain environments or after exposure to certain smells, pay attention to that pattern. And if at all possible, try to avoid those triggers going forward. If you smoke, please try to stop. I know this is a difficult topic, and I bring it up with the utmost respect and compassion, but it has to be said. Cigarette smoke contains over 7,000 toxic chemicals, and some of those chemicals directly trigger the body to produce mucus as a defense mechanism against those foreign substances. If you smoke, quitting is one of the single most impactful things you can do, not just for the mucus, but for your entire respiratory system and your overall health. And if you're around others who smoke, try to avoid that secondhand smoke as well, because it can trigger the same response in your body. Eat foods that support your respiratory health. Finally, let's talk about what you eat. Various studies and anecdotal evidence suggest that certain foods and drinks can actually be helpful when it comes to getting rid of mucus and phlegm. Spicy foods, for example, contain substances that can help clear up the sinuses. Think spices like chili and cayenne pepper. These can make it much easier to remove secretions by blowing your nose or coughing more productively. Other foods that are beneficial for your lungs and respiratory system include foods with healthy fats, spices with anti-inflammatory properties, and fruits and vegetables that are rich in antioxidants. And of course, as we touched on earlier, try to avoid foods that your body is allergic to or sensitive to, because consuming them will only make your symptoms worse. Important warning. Before we wrap up, I need to share something that is absolutely critical, and I want every single one of you watching to take this seriously. While most cases of mucus and phlegm buildup are manageable with the tips we've discussed today, there are certain symptoms that should never be ignored. If you or someone you love is experiencing any of the following, please do not wait. Contact your doctor or go to the emergency room immediately. First, if you notice blood in your mucus or phlegm, even just a small amount, this is a red flag that requires urgent medical attention. Second, if you are experiencing severe difficulty breathing or shortness of breath that comes on suddenly or is getting progressively worse, do not try to manage that at home. Third, if your mucus is dark brown, green, or has a very foul odor, this can be a sign of a serious bacterial infection that needs to be treated right away. Fourth, if you have a fever above 103 degrees Fahrenheit combined with chest pain and heavy mucus production, please seek emergency care without delay. And fifth, if you have noticed unexpected weight loss, night sweats, or a cough that has lasted more than 3 weeks without improvement, these are warning signs that something more serious may be going on and must be evaluated by a medical professional as soon as possible. For seniors especially, these symptoms can escalate very quickly. Please do not downplay what your body is telling you. Your health is too important to wait. Millions of people around the world and countless seniors right here in the United States deal with constant mucus and phlegm in their throat every single day. It is an exhausting, uncomfortable feeling that can quietly affect everything from the quality of your sleep to your confidence in social situations to simply being able to get through a normal conversation without stopping to clear your throat. And for far too long, so many people have just accepted it as an unavoidable part of getting older. They wake up every morning reaching for a glass of water, coughing, clearing their throat, and thinking, this is just the way it is now. But I want you to hear this clearly. It does not have to be that way. You came to this video looking for answers, and I hope that is exactly what you found today. We covered a lot of ground together, from reflux and post-nasal drainage to food allergies, infections, and underlying respiratory conditions. We talked about the right medications, the importance of staying hydrated, the power of simple home remedies like warm salt water and steam, and the everyday habits that can either make your symptoms better or quietly make them worse. And we talked about the warning signs that should never be ignored because your body is always communicating with you, and learning to listen to it is one of the most important things you can do for your long-term health and well-being. I also want to remind you, please do not try to navigate all of this alone. Share what you learned today with your doctor. Bring up the causes we discussed, ask questions, and advocate for yourself. You deserve answers, and you deserve a treatment plan that actually works for your specific situation. No two people are exactly alike, and what works for one person may not be the right fit for another. That is why having a trusted medical professional in your corner is so incredibly valuable. Getting older comes with its challenges, there is no question about that. But it also comes with wisdom, resilience, and the experience to know when something needs to change. You have already taken a powerful first step today just by watching this video and choosing to educate yourself. That matters more than you know. So please take care of yourself, drink your water, watch what you eat, protect your lungs, and never ignore what your body is trying to tell you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a 1 in the comments below. If you feel like I could do better, leave a 0. I read every single comment, and your honest feedback truly helps me create better content for you. If this video helped you, please give it a like, share it with a friend or family member who might need to hear this, and make sure you are subscribed to our channel with the bell turned on so you never miss another health tip made just for you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, here's to living life on your own terms, happy, healthy, and breathing easy.